Unmute, unmute.
Namaskar. Good
Yes.
afternoon. Yeah. There is a famous quote which says, education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Keeping this thought in mind, it gives me great pleasure in welcoming you all to participate in this national level webinar on the theme Impact of National Education Policy 2020 on Media Education, organized by Department of Communication, Journalism and Public Relations, Gujarat University, Ahmedabad. We mark the beginning of today's webinar with our university song. Can I request the university song to be played, please?
वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन गुजरात यूनिवर्सिटी आपणी गुजरात यूनिवर्सिटी आपणी विद्यातणु तपोवन वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन राष्ट्र चेतना कला साधना खेल भावना विकसे विश्व मानवी बनी गुजराती विश्व सकल માં વિલસે સ્નેહ સંપ સહકારની સાથે દેતી તું સન્મતિ સૌના સાથને સંગાતે સૌ સિદ્ધ કરે ઉન્નતિ પ્રેમ બંધુતા સમાનતાના પલ પલ પ્રસરે સ્પંદન વંદન અભિનંદન વંદન અભિનંદન વંદન અભિનંદન वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन वंदन अभिनंदन
Hello. So we just heard our university song. Can I request our university film to be broadcast over here? It is just a small film featuring all about what our university stands for and all our achievements. So it's just a 2 to 3 minutes film. So can I have the film to be broadcast over here?
Located in the heart of UNESCO World Heritage City, Ahmedabad, Gujarat University with more than 4 lakh national and international students makes it a large and inspiring place to work and study. 270 acres of lush green eco-friendly campus in conjugation with new knowledge and ideas. University meets societal challenges through strategic investments in education, research, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Extremely modern and state-of-the-art infrastructure with International Convention Center, Olympic Standard Sports Complex, Open-Air Theatre, and Genetic Diagnostic Center. Foresight into technological life cycle and agile systems takes Gujarat University far ahead of other higher educational institutes. Promotion of research, consultancy and extension for benefit of society through Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Center for Extension, Research and Innovation. Strong research and unique study programs including 2 finishing schools and research park bolster the industry-academia collaborations and also allure national and international students and researchers. Only state-funded university to incorporate 3 nationally funded incubators, which play a pivotal role in shaping and nurturing the startup ecosystem in Gujarat. Incorporating a strong sense of openness, Gujarat University actively participates in public debates and dialogues, cross-cultural university partnership through national and international collaborations to enhance global competitiveness. 3 world records and 2 national awards, together with history of individual and institutional level achievements, makes Gujarat University committed to excellence, innovation, and highest standards in higher education. The NIRF 2020 ranking places Gujarat University at the 44th position nationally and 12th position among state-funded universities in India. Gujarat University offers a rare combination of elite academic performance and integrated learning environment, thus making Gujarat University a sought-after institution, which has proved its ingrained motto of Yogaha Karmasu Kaushalam.
So thanks for playing this video of introducing. Hello, can you hear me?
Not able to listen.
Hello, I am unmuted. Can you hear me?
Not able to listen. Komal, you are not. We are able not able to listen you.
Yes.
Yeah, now.
Just a Yeah, now you can hear me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So we just saw an introduction to our university, and here I would like to introduce all the renowned, all the respected panelists and our key speakers who are here. We will be very shortly joined in by our respected Vice Chancellor, sir, who is on the way. We have with us our respected Pro Vice Chancellor, sir, Dr. Jagdish Bhavsar, sir. We welcome you. We have with us our head of the department, Professor Sonal Pandya ma'am, who is heading the Communication, Journalism and Public Relations department at Gujarat University. We have with us two respected speakers. We have with us Professor KG Suresh sir, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University of Journalism and Communication, Bhopal. We have also been joined by with our next speaker, who is respected Dr. Harshad Patel, sir, who is the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Indian Institute of Teacher Education, Gandhinagar. So we are really we acknowledge all your participation over here, sir, and thanks for being here. And we also welcome all the respected faculty members of various universities, invited guests, and my dear students. I, Dr. Komal Shah, Assistant Professor at Department of Communication and Journalism, welcome you all to this national webinar on impact of National Education Policy 2020 on media education. Education, as we all know, is a fundamental for achieving full human potential, developing an equitable and just society, and promoting national development. Providing universal access to quality education is the key to India's continued ascent economically, socially, scientifically, and culturally. Education, as we all know, gives us an understanding of the world around us and offers us an opportunity to use that knowledge wisely. Education makes it possible for people to stand out as equal with all the other persons from different walks of society. Overall, education is the platform that makes it possible to defeat all barriers. In this respect, the National Education Policy 2020 aims to have an education system by 2040 that is second to none, with equitable access to the highest quality education for all learners, regardless of social or economic background. Today's webinar will let us get an insight on National Education Policy 2020 and on how this policy proves to be a boon in media education. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varde Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karshyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. With the choicest blessing of Ma Saraswati, we begin this webinar, and I would like to call upon Professor Sonal Pandya ma'am, our head of the department at Communication, Journalism and Public Relations, Gujarat University, to formally welcome our guests and speakers and introduce the webinar topic. Ma'am, you're
I think
okay. I think
I'm audible.
yes, yes, ma'am. All fine. Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, ma'am, we can
Yes,
hear
ma'am.
you.
Okay. Uh, I'm very glad that almost different three vice chancellor and one pro vice chancellor all are there in this very interesting webinar. We invited all media departments of Gujarat, the faculty members and the students are also viewing us. New education policy is coming with lot of potential promises and the hope, and now after COVID we realize that we need the dynamic vision to see education as a process. It's a multidimensional process. So I'm very happy that all are here with us and accepted our invitation, uh, especially KD Suresh sir, our dear friend Harshad Bhai. He was a former student of our department. So I'm very happy that as a student and as a teaching fraternity, he can how this new media education policy will influence. As we all know that we media education is completing 100 years this years. Ashad by 1920 mad any basin started media education. So in 1920, when we are coming with new education policy, we are completing the 100 years of media education in India. So I think this is a very it proves the significance of the seminar today, that how important it is. And media industry itself is rapidly changing. We can call it, it's a complete paradigm shift in the higher education as well as the media industry as well. And new education policy focuses on three important aspects: knowledge, wisdom and truth, gyan, prajna and satya. I think how these three things will influence the media education is very important, because media education is a professional course, so we have to minimize the difference between the curriculum and the profession. So how we will minimize in coming years, how we can produce the very competent media professional, those who are socially committed. When we are thinking about the media and media's role, it is always very important when we are thinking about the media education, because it will definitely influence the future in many sense. So we all are agree in this platform that India is having a lot of potential as far as the human resource is concerned. So I'm very sure that how we can convert this potential into the performance. I think we all are very proactive and ready to accept any desirable changes in education, higher education, and especially in media education. I'm very glad that you all are here in cyber platform. We welcome you all, and I wish that our student and faculty member will get the very meaningful outcome out of this seminar. Thank you, Dr. Komal, to give this opportunity to me. Thank you, Arshad Bhai, KG Suresh sir, our other very senior guide and friend. Our Pro Vice Chancellor Jagdish Bhai is also there. So thank you once again. I think Himanshu Bhai is also there online. So I conclude that we will think that how our India potential will convert into performance through education. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for your welcome note and your address. We have been joined in by our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir. So we welcome our Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor Himanshu Pandya, sir. And next, I would like to call upon our Vice Chancellor, sir, to deliver his speech. And just like to mention that under his leadership and guidance, our university has gained 12th position in national ranking amongst the funded universities, and we stand first in the state rankings. Under his able guidance, our university has achieved the status of Center of Excellence, and we're excelling in all areas, including startups, research and development, introduction of new and innovative courses, and state of the art infrastructure facility. I would like to call upon our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, to address this gathering. Sir?
Thank you very much, Kamal, for these words. I don't know how I'm eligible for all this. You people are working hard in the field, and I'm taking the credit. Uh, my dear friend, Professor Harshad Patel, and other speakers for today's event. It's been a pleasure to welcome you all virtually on the Gujarat University campus. Uh, as Professor Sonal Pandya mentioned, that we are talking about national education policy. We all know that the policy is focused to the holistic development of students. It's not about getting degrees and certificates and diploma, but to gain knowledge which can be utilized further for the development of this country. The country, what we owe everything, and the country, which is a great country, who has that capability to lead the world,
Uh, Sir, we've lost your connection. Hello. So we are not able to hear you. Hello. Hello.
yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Totally. Yeah.
Hello.
Now it's fine.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. We
I'm so
can hear
sorry.
you.
I'm traveling, so I won't be able to communicate much.
Yeah.
But the simple idea is we have solvers like Professor Harshad Patel, who is having the novel approaches to see things in a different way. And I'm sure that today's deliberations would lead to some sort of document what we can submit to the government of Gujarat, where the implementation part is at the highest consideration. Thank you very much for calling me here. As I'm traveling, I won't be able to talk much because my connectivity may be poor. So I wish you all the good luck, all the very best, Team Journalism and Gujarat University. Thank you very much for calling me here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So that was our Vice Chancellor, and thank you, sir, for being taking out your time, your most precious time. Thank you very much, and I'm sure that we will be having very good deliberations, as you had mentioned. Next, I would like to call upon our very first speaker, and we have Dr. Harshad Patel, sir, over here, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Indian Institute of Teacher Education, Gandhinagar. And I'm really very proud to mention that he is an alumni of Department of Journalism Studies, as we being mentioned by our Professor Sonal ma'am as well. He was with us. He has studied here in the year 1998. He has been an independent director at EDCEIL India Limited, which is a PSU of MHRD, Government of India. He has worn many hats in terms of academician as well as in terms of his duties with the government of India as well as the government of Gujarat. He was a special officer for media at Chief Minister's Office, Government of Gujarat. He is also one of the member for the Task Force Committee for New Education Policy 2020, as created by the Education Department, Government of Gujarat. So we welcome you, sir, and we invite you to please deliver your speech on the impact of national education policy on professional studies and in particular media education.
થેન્ક યુ કોમલબેન. આઈ થિંક મારો અવાજ સંભળાતો હશે. आदरणीय सुरेश जी, हमारे मित्र हिमांशु भाई और हमारे परम स्नेही जगदीश भाई, गुजरात यूनिवर्सिटी के जर्नलिज्म डिपार्टमेंट के प्रोफेसर एंड हेड सोनल बहन, आज मुझे खुशी दो बात की हो रही है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो मैं इस डिपार्टमेंट का स्टूडेंट रहा हूँ और उस डिपार्टमेंट का वेबिनार हो और उसमें बात करने का मुझे मौका मिला है. दूसरी चीज, impact of NEP 2020 on media education. वैसे सब लोग इंतजार करते हैं कि सरकार की पॉलिसी आएगी, फिर बाद में हम सोचेंगे, उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे। लेकिन मैं धन्यवाद देता हूं जर्नलिज्म डिपार्टमेंट को कि प्रोएक्टिव होकर मीडिया एजुकेशन में क्या बदलाव आएंगे, उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट रहेगा पॉलिसी का, उसके ऊपर वेबिनार और उसमें परिचर्चा रखी है। ज़्यादातर हम देखते हैं कि जैसे कि मैं पढ़ रहा था यूनिवर्सिटी डिपार्टमेंट में, तो हमारी पढ़ाई मीडिया एजुकेशन की किस प्रकार से होती है, तो या सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स करते हैं, डिग्री कोर्स, पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट डिप्लोमा, या फिर पीजी कोर्स हम ज्वाइन करते हैं। कुछ लोग रिसर्च स्कॉलर बन के मीडिया एजुकेशन को आगे बढ़ाते हैं। स्ट्रक्चर में हम देखें तो यूनिवर्सिटी के डिपार्टमेंट में मीडिया एजुकेशन होता है, एफिलिएटेड कॉलेजेस, कई जगह पर अप्रूव्ड इंस्टीट्यूशंस, और जैसे नवजीवन है गांधी जी स्थापित, वैसे मीडिया हाउसेस, वो भी पत्रकारित्व की प्रोफेशनल ट्रेनिंग देते हैं। ज्यादातर मीडिया एजुकेशन में हम क्या पढ़ते हैं, तो प्रिंट, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक, ब्रॉडकास्ट मीडिया और डिजिटल मीडिया। ये कुछ 2-3 बातें जो हैं, अभी जो हमारा स्ट्रक्चर चल रहा है मीडिया एजुकेशन का। लेकिन अब नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी जो है, उसमें खास करके हायर एजुकेशन में जो रिकमेंडेशंस हैं, उसके आधार पर मीडिया एजुकेशन में क्या बदलाव आएंगे, हमें किस तरह से उसको देखना है। अभी मैं आनंद जिले में हूँ, एक छोटा सा गांव है, वहां से ज्वाइन हुआ हूँ। मैं स्कूल एजुकेशन की टास्क फोर्स का मेंबर हूँ, इसलिए उस दिशा में अभी कार्यरत हूँ। तो 2-3 चीजें जो हैं वो मीडिया एजुकेशन पे इम्पैक्ट करेगी। तो सबसे पहला तो फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी। ज्यादातर मीडिया एजुकेशन को कौन ज्वाइन करता है? तो हमारी अभी यूनिवर्सिटी सिस्टम जो है, उसमें हम ग्रेजुएशन और पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन में लेटरल एंट्री, लेटरल एग्जिट नहीं देते हैं। तो जो लोग जर्नलिज्म को ज्वाइन करना चाह रहे हैं, उसके लिए बड़ी सेवा होगी, क्योंकि कई बार ऐसा होता है कि 1 साल का ही अभ्यास कर सके। तो मीडिया एजुकेशन में ये सबसे बड़ा बदलाव ये रहेगा मेरे हिसाब से, कि हम स्टूडेंट्स को सर्टिफिकेट, डिग्री, डिप्लोमा ऑफर कर पाएंगे। तो बहुत सारे जो मीडिया में इंटरेस्ट रखते हैं, इवन उनका एप्टीट्यूड है, वैसे कैंडिडेट मीडिया एजुकेशन में आएंगे। लेटरल एंट्री, लेटरल एग्जिट इसे पॉसिबल होगा। जैसे स्कूल एजुकेशन में पहले ऐसा था कि अगर आपने 2 साल या 3 साल स्कूल में पढ़ाया है, तो ही आपको बीएड कोर्स में एनरोलमेंट होगा। बाद में ग्रेजुएशन और पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन के बाद बीएड ट्रेनिंग यानी प्री सर्विस ट्रेनिंग शुरू हुई। मीडिया एजुकेशन में सबसे बड़ी संभावनाएं इन सर्विस ट्रेनिंग की हैं। कई बार तहसील और डिस्ट्रिक्ट प्लेस में बहुत सारे लोग इस क्षेत्र में काम करना शुरू करते हैं, लेकिन डिग्री या डिप्लोमा या औपचारिक तालीम के बिना उनका प्रोफेशनल ग्रोथ या करियर ग्रोथ रुक जाता है। तो वैसे स्टूडेंट्स के लिए इन सर्विस कोर्सेस एनईपी के इस प्रावधान की वजह से हम कर पाएंगे, दे पाएंगे। हमने कई बार देखा है कि ज्यादातर पत्रकारिता में जो मेन स्ट्रीम मीडिया है उसमें जो सिटी या स्टेट के बड़े शहर या मेट्रो सिटी में रहने वाले लोग उसकी ट्रेनिंग में ज्वाइन करते हैं। लेकिन पिछले कई सालों से हमें बदलाव महसूस होने लगा है, खास करके प्रिंट मीडिया में या ब्रॉडकास्टिंग मीडिया में। जैसे मान लीजिए दिव्य भास्कर है, तो कई राज्यों में प्रादेशिक भाषा में अपना अखबार निकालता है, फिर डिस्ट्रिक्ट की 2 पेजेस वो पब्लिश करते हैं। लोकल टू वोकल ये जो मैसेज है, मुझे लग रहा है कि मीडिया एजुकेशन में इसमें बड़ी इम्पैक्ट है। जैसे बीबीसी बहुत बड़ी कंपनी है मीडिया के क्षेत्र में, तो बीबीसी गुजराती स्टार्ट करना वही बात हमें मजबूर भी करती है और महसूस करने में काम आती है कि हमें लोकल लैंग्वेज पे, प्रादेशिक भाषा में, कुछ डायलेक्ट्स में मीडिया एजुकेशन की जरूरत है और उसको बढ़ावा देना चाहिए। वोकेशनल टू प्रोफेशनल, एनईपी में वोकेशनल और प्रोफेशनल कोर्स के बारे में बहुत कुछ कहा गया है। तो हम इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया में देखते हैं कैमरामैन की तौर पर कोई नौकरी ज्वाइन करता है, फिर विजुअलाइजर बनता है, फिर क्यूरेटर भी बन सकता है, एडिटर भी बन सकता है। तो ये स्टेपिंग स्टोन जो है वो मीडिया एजुकेशन में हम दे सकते हैं। जैसे हमारे साथ पैनल में जर्नलिज्म की ख्यातनाम यूनिवर्सिटी के वाइस चांसलर हैं। जो ऑटोनॉमी की बात है, तो ऑटोनॉमी की बात मीडिया एजुकेशन में बहुत जल्दी से लागू की जा सकती है और वो होगी, क्योंकि मीडिया का स्वभाव ही है। तो मीडिया एजुकेशन की इंस्टीट्यूशंस तो अपनी स्वायत्तता की कामना ही करेंगे और उसके लिए काम भी करेंगे। जैसे स्कूल एजुकेशन में रटने वाली व्यवस्था खत्म होगी, तब क्रिएटिव माइंड्स आएंगे। तो पत्रकारिता में भी बहुत सारे लोग, क्रिएटिव लोग जर्नलिज्म में यानी कि मीडिया एजुकेशन में आएंगे, तो हमें स्टूडेंट्स, बहुत अच्छे स्टूडेंट्स हमको मिलेंगे। अभी किसी ने ही नहीं सोचा था कि ये ऑनलाइन माध्यम से अभी चारों दिशा में लोग बैठे हैं और एक विषय पर चर्चा कर रहे हैं। तो जैसे प्रिंट मीडिया में एक मीडिया हाउस या दूसरा मीडिया हाउस एमओयू वगैरह करता है, तो इस प्रकार से मीडिया एजुकेशन में एक्सपर्ट्स लेक्चर्स या जो एक्सपोजर हैं वो हम स्टूडेंट्स को ज्यादा दे पाएंगे। पहले ये संभव था, लेकिन हम लोग इसके बारे में आगे नहीं बढ़ पाए थे। किसी ने कोई सर्कुलर नहीं किया था कि आप जूम से ज्वाइन करिए या स्ट्रीम आर्ट से ज्वाइन करिए पूरे विश्व में, लेकिन सब लोगों ने एडप्ट किया क्योंकि हमारी जरूरत थी। तो मीडिया एजुकेशन में इसका सबसे बड़ा प्रभाव होगा। मुझे लग रहा है कि आगे वाले दिनों में सोशल मीडिया की ही इंस्टीट्यूशंस मीडिया एजुकेशन में हमें अलग से स्थापित करनी होगी, क्योंकि आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस और जिस प्रकार की फ्लोचार्ट की व्यवस्था, मशीन लर्निंग की व्यवस्था और आगे वाली जो पीढ़ी आएगी तो इसके लिए मीडिया एजुकेशन बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट होगा। इंटीग्रेटेड कोर्स के बारे में एक सहूलियत है, जॉनी एलएलबी हमें मिल जाएंगे कि लॉ के साथ जर्नलिज्म कर लिया है, तो हाई कोर्ट की रिपोर्टिंग, सेशन कोर्ट की रिपोर्टिंग या सुप्रीम कोर्ट की रिपोर्टिंग, जिसका ग्रेजुएशन पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन लॉ में हुआ है, वैसे पत्रकार मिलेंगे, हमें मीडिया पर्सन्स मिलेंगे। वरना ज्यादातर किस्सों में हम बिट डिफाइन करते हैं, वर्क असाइन करते हैं कि आप कॉरपोरेशन कवर करेंगे, आप गवर्नमेंट कवर करेंगे, आप एजुकेशन कवर करेंगे। लेकिन इंटीग्रेटेड कोर्स के कारण, मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच के कारण ऐसे स्टूडेंट्स हमें मिलेंगे जो पत्रकारिता में बहुत सारा काम हो पाएगा। जो फिट फॉर फील्ड हैं, ऐसे लोग हमें ज्यादा मिलेंगे। मुझे लग रहा है मीडिया एजुकेशन में सबसे बड़ा काम और वर्कफोर्स वो कंटेंट राइटिंग का, खास करके ई कंटेंट में हमें ये बदलाव देखने को मिलेगा। जैसे सोनल बहन पहले से एक आग्रह कर रही हैं और अपने लेक्चर्स में भी सभी स्टूडेंट्स को बताती हैं कि भी समाज में मीडिया लिटरेसी बहुत आवश्यक है। तो मुझे लग रहा है कि जो सीबीसीएस के माध्यम से और स्कूल एजुकेशन में सोशल मीडिया और मीडिया एजुकेशन, जैसे सीबीएसई बोर्ड में तो लागू ही है, उसको बहुत ज़्यादा जगह मिलेगी। इसके कारण पूरी सोसाइटी में मीडिया के प्रति जो मीडिया लिटरेसी है उसका प्रभाव हमें देखने को मिलेगा। इसके कारण हम ज़्यादा प्रभावी भी रहेंगे, निष्पक्ष भी रहेंगे और असरकारक भी रहेंगे। जैसे कि एजुकेशन में आरटीई एक्ट, तो बहुत सारे लोगों ने जिस प्रकार का रिपोर्टिंग किया, सत्य को उजागर किया, एक पूरी मूवमेंट चलाई, वो आरटीआई एक्ट हो या आरटीई एक्ट हो, तो मीडिया के ही माध्यम से कुछ पॉलिसीज बनती हैं। तो मुझे लग रहा है कि एनईपी की इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के लिए मीडिया एजुकेशन का बहुत बड़ा रोल रहेगा। मुझे लग रहा है कि आने वाले दिनों में सबसे बड़ी फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी जो है वो एडॉप्ट मीडिया एजुकेशन सेक्टर में होगी। कन्वेंशनल हमारी जो पढ़ाई, जैसे सब लोग जैसे इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स वगैरह ऐसे लिखते हैं वैन्यूला ग्रेजुएट्स फॉर बीए बीएससी, लेकिन कसाटा टेस्ट जो है वो मीडिया एजुकेशन हमें दे पाएगा। आई थिंक नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में ऑटोनॉमी, स्ट्रक्चरल चेंजेस और करिकुलम में जो फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी और क्रेडिट बैंक की जो बात है, तो ऐसा हो सकता है कि सर्टिफिकेट या डिप्लोमा कोर्स करके कोई मीडिया एजुकेशन से फील्ड में गया और 5 साल बाद डिग्री या पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन के लिए या रिसर्च स्कॉलर के लिए हमारे इंस्टीट्यूशंस में दोबारा आएगा। इस बड़े बदलाव विद इन 2-3 ईयर मीडिया एजुकेशन में सबसे पहले देखने को मिलेंगे, क्योंकि हर चीज की शुरुआत, समाज तक ले जाने की शुरुआत मीडिया ही तो करती है। तो ऐसे नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी को गांव-गांव तक, छोटे कस्बे तक, अंतिम छोर पर रहे व्यक्ति तक ले जाने में मीडिया एजुकेशन की और मीडिया की जो भूमिका रहेगी, और ऐसी अपेक्षा करते हुए इस वेबिनार में मुझे अपने कुछ विचार व्यक्त करने के लिए जो डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ जर्नलिज्म ने आमंत्रण दिया था, उसके लिए मैं धन्यवाद प्रकट करता हूं। और गुजरात यूनिवर्सिटी का ही हूं, तो इससे बेहद खुशी है। आज मित्रों से बात भी हो गई। वंदे मातरम।
एक बात मैं यहाँ कहना चाहूँगी कि हमारे डिपार्टमेंट के सिर्फ छात्र ही नहीं रहे हैं, हर्षद भाई बहुत अच्छे छात्रों में से एक रहे हैं। रघुवीर भाई के बहुत चहेते छात्रों में उनका नाम आता था, मुझे आज भी याद है। रघुवीर भाई इतने ही प्यार से आपको याद भी करते हैं। आप वाइस चांसलर बन गए, पर दो बात इंट्रोडक्शन में, क्योंकि मैं आपको काफ़ी सालों से जानती हूँ, तो कोमल को मैं भी बताना चाहूँगी और मित्रों को भी, कि हर्षद भाई बहुत अच्छे वाचक भी है, पाठक जिसको बोलते हैं हिंदी में, और बहुत अच्छे टीचर भी है, जिसका परिचय उन्होंने अपने प्रेजेंटेशन में दे दिया। क्योंकि जब जब वो हमारे वहाँ कभी कभी पढ़ाने आते थे तो हमेशा बच्चे पूछते थे कि ये सर फिर कब आएंगे। तो केजी सुरेश सर, आपको भी मैं बताना चाहूंगी कि वाइस चांसलर होने के साथ एक अच्छा पाठक होना और अच्छा टीचर होना, ये दोनों ही क्वालिटी उनमें बरकरार रहे, ऐसी आशा के साथ मैं फिर से आपका धन्यवाद करती हूँ हर्षद भाई कि आपके बहुत ज़्यादा बिजी शेड्यूल में हम आपसे जुड़े और आपके जो इनपुट्स है वो सही में बहुत वैल्यूएबल रहे, टू द पॉइंट रहे, बहुत ही फोकस रहे, जो मुझे लगता है कि इस तरह की चर्चा में बहुत अनिवार्य है। थैंक यू सो मच एंड ओवर टू डॉक्टर कोमल। थैंक यू।
और मैं आपको सबसे विदाई लेना चाहूँगा क्योंकि मेरे आगे शेड्यूल है, बड़ा प्रोग्राम है, इसलिए प्रवास में हूँ। थैंक यू, धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sir. So, yes, very rightly said by Harshad sir about the lateral entry and exit, जिसकी वजह से inflow of students media की तरफ ज़्यादा आ रहे हैं, और vocational to professional की भी उन्होंने बात की, जो एक stepping stone बन सकता है मीडिया के विद्यार्थियों के लिए। और social media institutions, especially ऐसी institutions जो social media ही सिखाती हो, and we really see कि ऐसा कुछ हो वैसा दिख भी रहा है, because the type of learning which is happening through uh, the webinars and the seminars and the online lectures which are happening right now. And when speaking about the local language in media education, I would like to turn to our next speaker, which is our respected KG Suresh sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor at Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University of Journalism from Bhopal. And he is the one who did bring about a turnabout in journalism when speaking about local language in journalism. He was the one to introduce Hindi journalism. He was the one to introduce language journalism at the national level, and bringing in this change in media education. He has served many positions professionally, academically, and just mentioning a few of them. Sorry, sir, I won't be able to elaborate on all of them right now. But yes, he has been Director General at Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi. He was a senior consulting editor with DD News. He was an editorial consultant with the Asianet News Network. And he was even the chief political correspondent with PTI of India and group media advisor to Dalmia Bharat Enterprises. He's been awarded and rewarded with many awards, and he was conferred with the PRSI Leadership Award, which is the highest award in the public relations sector. He was also designated the Commonwealth Youth Ambassador for Peace, and was a recipient of Prem Bhatia Fellowship for his young journalism days, during his young journalism days. So we are really proud to have you here, sir, and I'm sure the deliberations that you will be making in terms of impact of national education policy 2020 on media education will really be an eye-opener for all of us and will lead the way ahead in media education field. We welcome you, sir. Hello. Suresh sir? KG Suresh sir, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Am
it's
I on?
fine. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Komal Shah. Thank you, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Himanshu Pandyaji, the Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Jagdish Bhavsarji, and Dr. Harshad Patel, who spoke just before me, my fellow panelist, and a dear friend, Dr. Sonal Pandyaji, and of course, Dr. Komal Shahji. Thank you, and esteemed faculty members who are present here, heads of departments, and media educators from across Gujarat. That's what I've been told, that they have all gathered for this very important meeting. Always a pleasure. Missing those days when I used to regularly come to Gujarat, to Ahmedabad, to Baroda. So I've extensively traveled in Gujarat, and always a pleasure being a guest at Gujarat University. So this time, unfortunately, it had to be virtual. So I said that I will not lose this opportunity to be there. And my compliments to you for organizing a wonderful workshop on the impact of National Education Policy 2020 on media education. Friends, if you look at the National Education Policy 2020, there is absolutely no specific provision per se regarding media education. There is reference to technical education, there is reference to medical education, but there is no specific reference as such to media education. So whatever inferences we have to draw, interpretations we have to make, has to be based on the overall document. So let's now talk about the overall document very briefly, which is related to our profession, our media education. You see, there is undoubtedly, after 30 long years, today we have a national education policy. Now, I often say that this is not a magic wand, abracadabra, and entire media education will change. ये कोई जादू की छड़ी नहीं है, ये एक रोड मैप है. It's a road map to making India a global leader in education. But then it's a long journey. We still have issues at the primary education level. We don't have even permanent school buildings in many places. We have the student-teacher ratio, which is a problematic area. We have student attrition, the dropout rates. I mean, the problems are endless in terms of infrastructure, and the gap has only widened with the advent of COVID-19, which has led to a digital divide, wherein large number of our students across the country are unable to, learn because they do not have the wherewithal, the gadgets, the bandwidth, the electricity required. So these are issues. But then, as I said, that this is not a magic wand. This is, a gradual journey over the next 15, 20 years that will take us to, a situation where we are able to provide right to education to every individual, every citizen, and we also ensure that our education is among the best in the world. So there is undoubtedly, today, if some of the finest doctors, scientists, software specialists in the world are, whether it is NASA, whether it is Silicon Valley, it's London, Singapore, wherever you go, you will find Indian professionals, Indian doctors. So I'm not at least among those who rubbish the Indian education system. I believe that it has produced a lot of quality people, and the credit goes to the teachers, and of course the parents and the individual efforts of these professionals who have made it really well across the world. So, having said that, we have had a tradition of education in this country, since ancient days. I've been fortunate that I've visited all the ancient university sites, including Takshashila in Pakistan, Vikramashila and Nalanda in Bihar. So we have had a great tradition of education, and perhaps the whole idea of this national education policy is to again make us what is very popularly termed as Vishwaguru, the global education hub, the global leader. Already you have a lot of people from Afro-Asian countries who study at Indian institutions. Now coming to the education, so one is that this is a roadmap. Two, please remember that in this policy we are going to end, except for the the Bar Council of India and the National Medical Commission, all other technical education, the Dental Council of India and things like that, they're all going to be merged into a higher education council. So there are going to be different verticals under the HECI. So except for these two, which have always had an importance, I think that the other educational aspects are coming to be integrated. So that is one thing that we need to know. Now, media education, unfortunately, in this country, we never had any set parameters, norms. I mean, there has never been any standardization. So much so that maybe it is like media, a totally unregulated sector where anybody and everybody under Article 19(1)(a), the freedom of speech and expression derived from that every citizen every citizen is empowered. So you derive that strength and you start your own media house. So similarly, you can start your media school right from your your street, overnight fly by the night operators, people starting certificate programs, 3 months courses, 6 months courses, anchoring. They try to I would say pander to the demands. They try to cash in on the popularity of anchors, and most of them do a shoddy job, except for departments in government and private universities, and universities like ours, which is the Makanlal Chaturvedi National University of Journalism and Communication, which is the oldest and the biggest university of journalism in the country. Now, so there are no norms as such right now. This is a big gap. There's no standardization. I'm not talking about uniformity. I'm talking about standardization. Like Bar Council has set 7 parameters that you need these things to be eligible to be a legal education institution, a law college, medical council or National Medical Commission has its own parameters to be eligible to be a, you need these facilities. But in media education, there are no such parameters. Now, this is very unfortunate. That needs to be rectified. So we need to work on this. We all media educators need to come together and work on this. This is something very important. Another thing that I believe is a salient aspect, which I believe is that this entire focus on multidisciplinary focus. I think that this is so important for media education because you see what is happening is that while you are no doubt you are preparing specialists, and while introducing multidisciplinary, you should also ensure that that specialization doesn't get diluted. But at the same time, it is important that that interface has to be there. Unfortunately, today you find that we are all in our cocoons, in our echo chambers, in our disciplines. We are not aware of what's happening elsewhere. So I think that this is a very positive thing which we need to imbibe. Fortunately, my university, even though it is a journalism and mass communication university, we have computer applications, we have computer sciences department, we have management studies department, we already have, and we would be diversifying in the coming days also. That's what we plan to. But this multidisciplinary approach has to be. So what we are doing is that even in management, we are bringing in the aspects of media. In technology, we are bringing in computer education, we are bringing in the technical aspects of media. So this grounding is there. This multidisciplinary approach is something that, though we have been teaching our own students about current socio-political scenario, but beyond that, there is no interdisciplinary approach in media education also, which I think that this national education policy encourages us to weave in. So the choice-based credit system, CBCS, that is there, that would ensure that we are able to offer to our students to pursue their interests in other subjects, so that they turn out to be holistic in their personality, in their outlook, rather than having a very narrow segmented view of things. So I think it would enable them to be complete human beings, very good journalists who have an overview of all issues, all major issues. So it is very important that multidisciplinary approach needs to be weaved into media education, so that aspects of science, because science communication is very important, public health journalism is very important, public health is weaved into that, science is weaved into that, development communication, so what is happening at the socio-political level, that is weaved into that, social sciences aspect has to be brought in. Again, a lot of focus on humanities in the national education policies. That's very important. So you can have even a student of music. I'm sorry, even a student of medicine who can simultaneously pursue music, and they will get credits for that. Now, the credit bank, the provision for a credit bank, and the provision for transfer of credit, again, that's laudable. For example, I'll give you an example. Now, I was prior to this assignment, previously, I was the Director General of the IIMC. Now, there, though we got it at to be deemed to be university, but even now they are offering only diploma programs. Now, once the diploma is there, the student has to actually join another university to pursue his master's. It's not a diploma program. And similarly, any student, say in any university, if he or she drops out of the first year for some reason, he stands to lose. But thankfully, under the provisions of the national education policy, after the first year, you can exit with a diploma, a certificate. After 2 years, you can exit with a diploma, and after 3 years, you go out with a degree, and subsequently 3+, you go with a PG. So this ensures that there is continuing education, and the student can always come back either to his own alma mater or can join somewhere else, because there is a credit bank, and your credit is saved in that, and it is transferable. It's not necessary that you have to pursue it from the same institution. So if you have done from the Department of Journalism and Communication at Gujarat University, or one of my students from Makanla does his or her first year, and then her father or gets a transfer to Ahmedabad, then that student can pursue his or her second year from your university. So they don't stand to lose. That's it. And this credit also gets transferred. Now, this is huge in terms of, I believe, in terms of the student experience, in terms of facilities to the students. So there's a continuing. So even after several years, if you have taken your diploma and want to pursue you after a few years, you feel that you should now diversify into media education. People like us, who were initially hardcore journalists and then subsequently shift to media education. So I think that for us, for people like us, it would be a very smooth transition because we would be able to pursue our courses. In fact, you immediately get a job after you do your diploma program, and then subsequently you can go for a higher education, and the choice would be there, and you just have to complete your remaining 3 years or 2 years. Now this is something very interesting. The focus on language, again, Dr. Komal had made a reference to my experience. Though the focus on language right now in the new education policy is related to I would say to primary education, but no one is stopping you from promoting it at the highest level. Nobody is stopping you. So I did it very successfully at IIMC. We started language journalism programs in Marathi from our Maharashtra Amravati Maharashtra campus, and Malayalam journalism from our Kottayam Kerala campus. And Urdu, we turned from certificate to a full-fledged degree program, and we also introduced a Sanskrit certificate program in Sanskrit journalism in collaboration with the Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Sanskrit Studies, Sanskrit Vidyapeeth. Now, these programs, I'm glad to inform you, are running very successfully. In fact, they are more successful than the English journalism program. So you would find that the seats are full. They never fall vacant. Now, this is something that has caught up, because the future of media is in language. More and more people are reading, listening and watching news and media content in their respective languages. Even there was a time when if you go on a flight, you will only find people reading English novels and English न्यूज़पेपर्स. लेकिन आजकल जो है आप देखते हैं कि हवाई जहाज में भी फैशनेबल हो गया है कि आप अपनी अपनी जो भी भारतीय भाषाओं में भी लोग किताब भी पढ़ रहे हैं, अखबार भी पढ़ रहे हैं. ये बहुत साधारण सी बात हो गई है. कोई तो एक आत्म स्वाभिमान, एक गर्व लोगों को महसूस होता है that there is a growing self-respect for language. Now this is good, in the sense that so language, now with this focus on language at the primary level, where or the local language that would be taught, and gradually as you grow up, if your grounding is in your language, you tend to become original thinkers, because we usually think in our language and then translate it into English, French, German, whatever, or whatever. So the natural thinking is in your mother tongue. So if the education is also in your mother tongue, it actually or in your local tongue, the primary education, it helps you evolve scientifically. Also, it has been established that your grounding in your own language, rather than a language which is not your language, will certainly add to your own bandwidth, if I may use that term. Dr. Pandya has already, Dr. Harshad Patel has spoken about. Dr. Harshad Patel has spoken about, the importance of the new technologies, and I'm happy to know that these are all being introduced in Gujarat universities as well. बहुत आवश्यक है इसका बहुत, in fact, there is an entire institution which is being set up to promote online teaching, to promote internet related teaching. There's an entire process. Now that is something that you and I have to take advantage of. Today you will find that much more than the conventional job market for animation, visual effects, gaming, comics, that's going to expand like anything, massive. It's going to be massive. Now that is something that we need to understand, because there's a growing demand, whether it is comics, whether it is, you see animation, films, you will find that a lot of people. So this dedicated institution that is being proposed, to promote online to promote internet-based web-based education is something that's really laudable. The focus on vocationalization, I think, and skilling. Skilling is again because at the end of the day, a student comes to your particularly in mass communication with the hope of getting a job in the industry. Am I able to skill in, accordingly? So this entire focus on skilling and vocationalization would enable me to introduce a lot of, you have the, Skill India programs, which can be weaved into as part of your, we tried it in, Delhi University in some colleges. I was part of that expert group, which wherein we try to bring in colleges like Lakshmi Bai College, we try to bring in with the help of the uh, Media and Entertainment Skills Council, MESC. We try to bring in skilled programs for our media students. Now, that can be anything from your photography, as simple as photography, to it can be, animation, comics, gaming, augmented reality, virtual reality. When I was in IMC, we even introduced drone journalism. So the impact on the technological, the emphasis on technology is huge in the national education policy, and that supportive system will be there. I know that there is a constraint of time, but I'll just like to flag one or two more issues, before I conclude. The entire focus on research is something that is, very interesting. I believe that I've always said that, if there is one reason why India, despite the fact that we have some of the best brains in the world, there's a brain drain, and that is primarily because we don't have research facilities. We don't have the enough impetus given to research. शोध को हम लोग ज्यादा महत्व नहीं देते हैं, ये बहुत आवश्यक है. और इस में जो नेशनल रिसर्च फाउंडेशन की बात की गई है, रिसर्च का कन्वर्जेंस की बात की गई है, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. Those days of teaching and learning universities are gone. Now you will be talking about a lot of, research. I think that you are expecting universities now under the national education policy to do extensive research, come out with research. So there is a whole emphasis on research. So I think that for media also, this is very much required. I often say that in media, we do Google search more rather than research. Research is very important. Very many aspects of how media is impacting. Of course, our PhD students are doing these, but as institutions, there are so many aspects. We are a Department of Communication Research at IMC, wherein we even studied consumer patterns, how the consumer, campaigns like Jago, what kind of impact they have had, how is it, how women are able to, in terms of, pay parity, in terms of the status of women in media in South Asia. We undertook that project with organizations like South Asian Women Media Network. I think there is need for original research on issues related to media. That's not happening. Individual PhD, postdoctoral fellowships are there, but we need to be more focused. Institutional research ought to be there, and that is where a lot of emphasis is being given. And interestingly, this is going to have an impact on your rankings. Now rankings are going to be important in the universities. So so far we have escaped. Media departments have escaped this. So whether it is NAC accreditation, whether it is NIRF, we now have to follow the norms. We have to ensure that qualitative change has to be brought about. In terms of student experience, in terms of the number of research papers the faculties are writing, in terms of the patents, the licenses, the patents, the IPRs, intellectual property rights that you get. These are very important things that you need to understand. So that emphasis on NIRF, wherein over the next 15 years, we are expecting that these affiliation of colleges are going to end. So you cannot be having a central university or a state university with hundreds of colleges. I mean, you need to actually now they are looking at giving autonomous status to colleges. They can have their own degrees. They don't need to be dependent on a university for that. So that is going to improve quality of education, and they are going to be self-sustaining. They are going to be, so they will have to generate their own resources also, but we're not true. So these are important kind of aspects which need to be factored in, and these are going to have long-term impacts on media education as well in a big way. And of course then there's the quality education that is there, which I have already talked about. That's but the importance of mass communication as a discipline, which is now going to be taught extensively in schools as part of the vocationalization, as part of the the skill upgradation. Now that is going to bring in quality students who are already exposed to mass communication at the school level. They are going to come to colleges and universities. Now that means people with actual interest in the subject will be coming to this discipline in a big way. And technology, as I said, that now you have more journalism, you have animation, you have artificial, you have drone journalism now. So you find a lot of things are being covered, whether it's the US elections or it's the Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra. You will find that drones are doing a lot of the technical recce. So you can do a lot of these stories around that. So technology is going to play a very important role in this entire setup, and that is what is being facilitated by the national education policy in a big way. As I said, there are no specific references. You need to draw the inferences and its impact directly on media education, because overall it is going to streamline, it is going to I would say put things in order. And obviously media as a young discipline, mass communication as a young discipline, of course we are also a century old. It's Dr. Annie Besant who had introduced media education for the first time, and we are celebrating, and we are already planning a lot of events, and I'm sure that together with Gujarat University also we can plan out a lot of things. And all media educators, this is the time to actually sit back, reflect on what we all as media educators need to do to ensure that there is certain standardization teaching, the emphasis on research, emphasis on publication, wherein we should be looking at, and the focus on Indianization, localization. That's also very important. So we have been so far only teaching Western communication models, which have been more adversarial in nature. So we should be now looking at, even in countries like Thailand, there's a Chancellor University where people are, my friends like Tilakaseviratne, they are working on, models like Buddhist model of communication. So I think that's very important. In India also, during my tenure, we had introduced at IIMC Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra, the Sadhanikaran theories and all that. So we need to look at Indian communication, which is in harmony with our process, our pluralistic, our thought processes, which is more inclusive in nature. So I think that aspect, that focus on Indianization, on Indian traditional, emphasis on Indian traditional knowledge, this certainly again can be leveraged to tell our students about the communication models, right from our epics to to the days of Swami Vivekananda and Mahatma Gandhi, their model of communication, how they were able to communicate so effectively, so impactfully. I think that these are aspects that we should all be exploring. I'm sure that this is a subject on which one can talk for hours, but I was given about 15-20 minutes. I think that I exceeded the time. My apologies for that. Thank you so much, Dr. Sonal Pandya, Dr. Komal Shah, the University Vice Chancellor and Pro Vice Chancellor, for inviting me. It's always a pleasure being with the, Gujarat University Department. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Uh, Sir, you are a perfect combination of media professional and media educators. So I think you are always a very strong voice of the media educators, and you are asset to us. And you proved yourself that today also in this presentation you touched the topic which is very very relevant. But sir, there are few questions Dr. Komal will definitely raise behalf of the student.
Absolutely.
The question we will take. Please, you will be with us. Over to Komal. Please, Komal, take over. And thank you once again, sir, that you are with us. And we'll definitely invite you personal. And we'll be in touch and we'll work together in the area of media education together. Pleasure. Over to Komal.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure to listen to you and to listen to your ideas of the future. And you are always ahead whenever that you are talking about media education, ahead of the times, that how education or media education will be affected or because of this online technology, and how we really need to imbibe this technology when you're talking about teaching media. And I'm sure that the National Research Foundation will even point direction for media education, and we all the academicians will follow the same, and we will try and imbibe in maximum as we can in our education system as well. So thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your speech, and I'm sure that all the professors, the deans, the students, the research scholars, everybody who has joined us from Gujarat as well as from all over India. We are thankful to them for being with us for and listening to these deliberations with utmost patience. And I'm sure that they must all have even been, getting the maximum that they can from the knowledge that both the Aki speakers have, imparted over here. I'm thankful to all the participants who have joined us from Facebook, from YouTube. We have got more than 100 participants in terms of students, in terms of deans and professors from various universities and institutions of Gujarat. We are thankful to them for joining us in over here. And there are just one or two questions that they have when we're talking about research. So, what are the research areas that one needs to focus when talking about this new technology, the digital technology which is around us right now? So, any enlightenment of this, sir, from your end?
Thank you. Thank you. It's a very interesting question. I would only say that, you see, I have always believed that research should be relevant to the society. Because if your research is only for the sake of a doctorate, I don't know, because the country, the society is investing so much on you. Particularly in government universities like yours and ours, we are investing so much on if a PhD student engages in research. So I think that it is very important that it has a societal impact also. So it is very important that you should take up issues which are relevant. Now you talked about digital. So I would be happy, and like people do talk are at, and talking about how Facebook can impact elections and stuff like that. Now those are all there. I believe that e-governance is an issue. How through social media, societal changes are happening. People are becoming aware about health issues. How through internet we can reach out to people with regard to. We can reach out to farmers. We can reach out to people with regard to health education. I think that there's n number of such areas where but the thing is that everybody wants to do their literature review sitting in cities. Nobody wants to go to the rural areas, to the tribal areas. There is a lot of how technology is changing lives, or if it is not changing lives. How, for example, now this online education is on. I mean, I would be interested to know actual studies on how much this rural urban divide, digital divide, and how a lot of children are being left out, and what needs to be done. I am all for, I've never been a great supporter of problem-centric solution, problem-centric journalism. I've always been, a proponent of solution-based journalism, wherein the entire focus should be on, bringing out solutions from within the communities, because we don't need to have a, top-down approach. In fact, it should be a bottom upward approach, wherein the solutions also come from within those various societies, rather than some bureaucrat sitting in Delhi deciding on what is good for a tribal in Chhattisgarh or Gujarat or Madhya Pradesh. I think that it should be the other way around. So I think that these meaningful studies, a lot of effort is being done, in Bundelkhand, in Chhattisgarh, many attempts through technology to reach out to the common people is being done. So can we have studies on that rather than have very superficial research work, research which can actually make impact on society, which can impact policy making? I think that we should be looking at those kinds of research.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And there's one more question, and it's pertaining to the Indianization of theories and models. So, when talking about these theories and models, the person is just asking that being a multilingual and multicultural nation that we are, how do we get a particular single Indian communication theory or a model?
No, I'm not saying that. I never said that. I said the Indian communication models. I totally agree that we have so many models. So I think I did not say there is a single communication. I mean, in the West, do they have a single communication theory? No, there are many theories and models which are there. So I'm not saying it should be single Indian communication. No, it cannot be. We are too diverse a nation. We are linguistically, ethnically, we are different. So I believe that there are a lot of communication models, whether it is in the tribal areas which they have been following. There have been through folklores, through folk dance, through folk narratives. You have had so many traditions. You have said, for example, in the eastern part of the country, you have the jatras. I mean, they are so powerful communication models. You have Pandavani in Madhya Pradesh, for example. I mean, you have so many examples I can cite, across the country, which have. So these things also ought to be, and how, but we need to study them. We need to codify them. We need to actually, what has happened is the West has been able to do it. Some thinkers, they developed their own models, but we could not that where we could actually need to study these patterns. How, say in the tribal areas, again, how communication has taken place over the centuries. That is something that would be really interesting. But there is, those ancient knowledge has been passed on from generation to generation. Even today, and this, I know this lady who was awarded the Padma Shri by the government last year. She's a tribal woman who would practice herbal medicine, and she's been doing it. I mean, she got it from her grandparents, and her grandparents got it from her, and I mean their grandparents. So these are traditions which have flowed down. So what was the communication model? How it was communicated from community, the folk songs, the wedding songs. One of my students is doing a research on how, Gujarat being the land of Gandhi. Now, this student is from Bihar actually, and he's he's studying in Bihar how in the folk songs of Bihar, you have a lot of Gandhiji's messages in the folk songs of Bihar. So Gandhiji has become part of folklore. Now that PhD student is now studying the research on how Mahatma Gandhi has influenced folk songs of that time, which are still being sung. Though Gandhiji passed away in the last century, but still, they are being sung. So this is how the from one generation to another. I mean, we have been hearing the Mahabharata and Ramayana from our grandparents, and I mean, it has been there for centuries. So I think that this all needs to be understood. How what has been the patterns that have been following. There has never been a scientific study on these communicative aspects, because we have had a very what is it called, the smritis, as they say. It is down through memory that we have passed on. We have never documented them. You know, as a people, we have never documented these things. It has come down as historic memory, and then there have been introductions of stuff that have got into it. So that's it. So I agree. There are many models, and I would urge
And
this gentleman to work on one such model.
yeah, we would urge all the research scholars over here who have joined in with us with the academicians to really work on the models, and we really need them in this scenario. Ma'am, would you like to add on something? Because I don't think so. There are any more questions over here.
Uh, I'm interested for the standardization of the media education, as you mentioned in
Absolutely.
your speech
Yeah.
Yeah,
also.
that is something we should all work
What
for.
this for standardization support supposed to be, and any regulatory body is needed national wise, or the common curriculum is needed, or in the heterogeneous media industry, let us this curriculum is also be heterogeneous. What are your views about this? I'm very keen, because when we met in Delhi, you discussed a lot about this, but after this new education policy, what are your new views and how we should go further, sir?
I think we should all be interacting more extensively, sharing our experiences. There are some suggestions which have come up for setting up a media education council. That should be there, like a media council. We have been talking about Media Council of India. Now they're talking about Media Education Council that should be set up. But whether there is a Media Education Council or not, I think that UGC can play a very important role. Right now, only a couple of courses are now recognized by, I mean, UGC, in the sense that they have the syllabus for that. I think that there should be more work at the university UGC end. I am a member of the ICSSR Research Council, and as a research council member, we have been able to really support a lot of postdoctoral fellows and students to research scholars to actually pursue their research in media related subjects. So I believe that such institutions can also actually contribute, and how we can bring about, at least we should say that, look, minimum these facilities should be there. Minimum, this should be the size of your media library. The minimum qualifications of a teacher should be this much. All these aspects should be there. Of course, we do follow the UGC norms generally, but then we are a profession where industry experience is also very important. So I think that we should also be looking at that, wherein media education, if you look at it right now, of course, only at the professor level, say someone like me who has spent 3 decades plus, then I can get a straight professorship. But I believe that how can we bring in at the mid level, how can we bring in people from the industry? There should be more industry academia exchanges. In fact, I would suggest, I mean, the ideal situation would be, I would like to have few editor level people. I mean, not the chief editor, but say senior editor level, news editor level people who should come and spend 1 or 2 years teaching. And we should have some associate professor level who should be going to the industry and spending some time there at the news editor level, working in the studios, working in the digital online platforms, kind of internship. So this has to be a continuing media education CME program. Like continuing medical education, there should be a CME, continuing media education. There should be this constant interaction in the industry and academia, because we are deeply, I mean, every industry is, but we in the profession are cannot afford a disconnect. That's there. And these are some initial thoughts when we sit over a cup of tea, I think more ideas will come.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. It was really enlightening, and I'm sure that all the educators, all the academicians, the deans, the HODs who have joined in over here, they would have many more questions to ask you. And we really look forward that we all can meet up together in physicality at the earliest possible and talk about it, so that we can try and work on the national education policy, especially pertaining to media education. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you. I
I'm
look
really
forward.
proud to mention, yeah, same here, sir. I'm really proud to mention here that we have got an overwhelming response for this webinar from all the students, research scholars, all the colleagues who have joined in from all the institutions of Gujarat, Gujarat Vidyapeeth, Saurashtra University, National Institute of Mass Communication and Journalism, and MS University Baroda. So we've got an overwhelming response from all the students and research scholars from their end. Thanks to all of them, and we heartily respect this time that you have given it to us. And I'm sure this will be a fulfilling time that you have spent in with us. Uh, so before we end this webinar, I'll just like to deliver a thanking note to all the people who have helped us in organizing this webinar. Ma'am, would you like to say something before we end?
Yeah, Dr. Jagdish Pausar is always there as a friend, philosopher, guide. Jagdish Bhai, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are not merely a neighbor in our building, but you are a truly friend of our department. So you તમે બહુ જ મહત્વનો સમય આપને बहुत ही important time devote किया और you motivated us. Our other friends in the departments, Bhumika is there, other Vishwesh is there, Bhavya is there, Dharmesh Bhai, all initiated and take interest. Dharmesh from Rolwala Computer who helped us in the computer. So I think in a cyberspace meeting also you have to manage many things, and wonderfully you conducted this session, Komal. So being a head, I must say and congratulate you for wonderful coordination of the whole program. So I wish that Suresh, you do come to visit us, and definitely you can meet our Vice
Looking
Chancellor
forward.
and Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you all.
much.
We're also thankful to the EMRC department at Gujarat University. We are really very thankful to both our speakers, Professor KG Suresh sir, Professor Dr. Harshad Patel sir, and we are always thankful to our Honorable Vice Chancellor and Pro Vice Chancellor sir to all, encouraging us to hold such webinars. So thank you all. We are thankful to all the audience who have joined in, and we really look forward to not only having you in our next webinar, but also in a physical seminar or a conference or any such gatherings that we can at our department at the earliest possible. Thank you all, and we call it a
Thank you.
day today. Have a nice day. Thanks. Vande Matram. Bye.
Thank